Hey everyone, this is Jefferson from the Detroit Lions podcast and Lions Wire. It is Thursday, July 25th, and I was out at Detroit Lions practice today. I'm here to share with you what I saw and heard out in Allen Park. Right. My first day of camp. It's technically the second day of Lions training camp. I missed the first day. I had a prior obligation. I hosted the Huge Show for the last couple of days. Bill Simonson was out. He was gracious enough to let me sit in the hosting chair. Got to interview Dan Miller. He talked a lot about what he saw in the first day's practice. It's been a great segment yesterday with Mike Kimber. We actually did two segments together from Lions Nation Unite. Mike was phenomenal. Please check out his stuff. And if you want to listen to the conversations that we had, or just me talking about Lions football in general, you can check out the podcast of the Michigan Sports Network on the Huge Show page. And thanks again, Bill, for letting me sit in. That was awesome. I always appreciate getting to sit in the hosting chair. It's fun. Very, very fun diversion. But I got out to Allen Park today. Drove straight from Grand Rapids last night. I am here at Forward Operating Base Canton, Michigan. IKEA is about a mile that way or so. I don't know. I don't have a good sense of direction where I'm at here, but great, very interesting day. We'll start with the celebrity component. Hulk Hogan was there. Clarissa Shields was there. And I will just say this, the players knew Clarissa Shields better than they knew Hulk Hogan, which was very interesting to me as somebody who grew up in an era where Hulk Hogan was one of the biggest celebrities on the face of the earth. That's apparently not the case with the younger folks. So I learned something today. For me, the coolest thing was getting reacquainted with Taylor Lewan today. I had not seen Taylor Lewan in person since his combine podium interview, which I believe was in 2014. I think was his draft, maybe 13. I think it was 14. But anyways, he looks spectacular. He's now retired. He's part of the media. He does a great podcast, Bussin' with the Boys. He does with Will Compton. And I met him up again with him today. Just talked to him very briefly, but he looks phenomenal. He's one of those guys that has lost a tremendous amount of weight from his playing days. Looks really good. Was wearing a girl dad hat, which I complimented him on, and need to get one of those because I'm a very proud girl dad myself. But that was neat for me. So it was cool to see him out there and watching the offensive line and just standing within earshot of him, like talking about what he heard. I picked up some things that, from a different perspective. I was not an offensive lineman, certainly nowhere near to the level that Taylor Lewan was. So it was interesting, hearing his observations on what he was watching. So that was cool. I'm very fortunate that I got to do that. So for me, that was the coolest part. The other folks got into some other people, but for me, Taylor Lewan was sweet. All right, let's get to what we saw. And you know what? I'm going to whittle this down. I wrote notes already at Lions Wire. You can check that out. We'll maybe even put a link in here. But just based on the comments and the Detroit Lions podcast Slack channel, there's basically three players that y'all really want to hear about more than anybody else. Terrion Arnold, James Houston, Jamo. Jamo had a great day, and it sounds like he's built off a great day the first day. We all saw the clip. If you haven't, you can look at it on the Lions website and their social media of him roasting Arnold and Iffy yesterday on one of the early plays of practice. I saw a much better focused Jamo, as I had expected to see from what I had seen from him all spring. The route running is better. It's not perfect. There was one today where he undershot where he was supposed to be, and the throw bounced. And just based on the reaction of the people that are around him, because I don't know if it was a misfire by Goff or if it was Jameson Williams, not being in the right place at the right time. But from the reaction of everybody that was around and the way that Goff went to Jamo, it sure felt like it was Jameson not being in the right spot. But beyond that, man, he was good today. He catches the ball much cleaner than he has. There's a focus. He has struggled with the hand-eye coordination of looking the ball in and securing it with his hands. You can tell he's worked a lot at that. And he made a catch today where it was kind of an over the shoulder. It was on the right sideline. It happened about 15, 20 yards in front of us, where he separated out and made sure that he knew where his foot was on the right sideline. If I could pan down here, you'd see my right foot mimicking it. But he caught it like right here. Didn't break stride, kept running as he pulled it down. Didn't get a lot of that from Jameson Williams in the past. So progress there on the JMO front. Looks good. You'll know when he does well if you come out to training camp practice, because he celebrates every good play he has by launching the ball. And he's got a pretty good arm. So it's fun to watch him just be. He's more integrated into the wide receiver room than he has been. Like, it was never a situation where, like, the guys didn't like him or he didn't want to be part of it. He just feels like he's more one of the guys, for lack of a better term, this year. He seems more comfortable being a Lion and being a professional and being who he is. And it's working. So more of that, please. Because I expect big things from Jameson Williams this year. And nothing I saw today, nothing that I saw this spring dissuades me from that. It only encourages it more. And the reports that I got yesterday about him from a lot of people I asked, because one of the first things I did when I got in there this morning after getting my new credential, which was cool, was asking people, hey, what did you see yesterday? What stood out? And Jameson came up a lot. JMO came up a lot, I should say. Right there with the massive new podium, which is huge, folks. I know those of us in the media are carrying on, but it is really remarkable. It's got to be very close to 5 feet high and 4 feet wide, and like it's something else. It's fun to see it. Fun to be sitting front row again. It was interesting. I do just point this out from a totally personal observational standpoint. When I'm in Allen Park for the last 10 years, 11 years, I have sat most of the time next to Mike O'Hara. Mike O'Hara would sit to my left. I would be here. A couple different people would change roles here. Today was Colton Pouncey to my right. But then Dean's like up here. But today, because Mike O'Hara has retired, Ben Raven from M Live sat to my left, and I let him know that he's a little younger than Mike. I miss you, Mike. Hope you're enjoying your retirement. It was weird not having you there today. Let's get to the other players. Terrion Arnold, first-round pick, cornerback from Alabama. He had a very interesting day. Not all good, not all bad. He plays outside corner, first-team reps exclusively, and there are times where he looks phenomenal. Better than Jeff Okudah ever did. Better than Darius Slay did as a rookie, certainly. Remember, Slay got benched as a rookie and earned it. We actually talked about Justin Rogers on the live show earlier this week. Check that out. I got to talk to Justin today. He's doing great. Please keep supporting him, by the way. He is truly appreciative and somewhat overwhelmed by the support that he's gotten. And please keep that going, because he's doing a great job. I will talk about him more when we get to the James Houston section. But talk about Terrian a little bit. He is a player, and if you listen to him when he talked at the combine, or if you had just watched various interviews and like his TikToks that he does, he's a guy who likes to study the receivers that he's facing. And he's doing that with the Lions, with all the guys that he's facing up against. There's a lot of different people that he's never seen before, or maybe gone up against once or twice in practice. And you can see the mental Rolodex like going like, okay, this is Caden Davis. I got to defend him this way. This is Doris Fountain. I got to defend him this way. This is Amon-Ra. I got to do this to him. Like this is what he likes to do when he's running a route. And you can see all that, like the wheels turning a little bit for Terrion, and sometimes they're turning in the right way and sometimes they're not. And he got burned by Doris Fountain, number 12, who's having a really good offseason. Not just today, he was really good in the spring as well. And he's a guy that's going to be threatening for that number 4, number 5 wide receiver job. Just based on what I've seen from him, he's offering more now and did in the spring than Antoine Green or Donovan Peoples-Jones did. Now, that does not mean that the Lions feel that way as well, but keep an eye on number 12 because he's doing some things, and he beat Arnold today. Arnold briefly left today. Looked like they were looking at his calf. He came back out after missing like one set of reps. He was fine, no problem. He's a fun dude, man. You're going to love this guy. You really are. His personality is somewhere on the spectrum of Quandre Diggs, Darius Slay, kind of that playful Jameson Williams a little bit. You know, he understands that he's playing a kid's game at heart, and appreciates that and has a very good appreciation for it, a healthy one. But he also understands that there's time to get work done. And when he doesn't do his job properly, it bothers him and it motivates him to do better on the next rep. And that was one of the things that I liked because I wanted to see the rep after he got beat by Fountain. And I watched him very closely on it. And he went outside and he was matched up against Caden Davis, who had a really, really good day. And he put a jam on Caden, steered him to the outside the way that Aaron Glenn had directed him to it on the drill, and basically eliminated it from the play. So he gets beat on a bad rep, beaten badly on a play, comes back next rep and does exactly what the coach wanted him to do and did it great. It's what I want to see from my number one cornerback. And I do think he will be the number one cornerback sooner than later. Carlton Davis is number one right now and has earned that with his veteran status, but Terrion's coming for you, buddy. And we're all going to be better for it. All right, let's talk about James Houston. I'll go real quick into the Justin Rogers part. After practice today, Houston was among a group that was working on their hand placement and rip moves on some pad, like a pad sled thing where they have like the little arms coming off of it, working on hitting it and everything. And I'll get more of the drill in a second. But as he walked off from that, Justin Rogers went up to James Houston and talked to him for probably 10 minutes. Got some really good information. Houston was clearly interested in what Justin was asking him. They had a great conversation. I would strongly suggest checking out whatever Justin writes about that later. The first week is free at his new venture. He's not paying me to do this either. I just really respect him and hope that his new path succeeds. But Houston had an up and down day as well. So there was one rep going against Giovanni Manu. It was like, why are you even trying to block it? It was not fair to Manu to have to try to block Houston off the edge without tight end help. He just went literally right around him on the outside. I'm not sure that Manu got more than a lunging touch on him. Very next rep. And I wish I could remember who the tackle was, but I don't have it in my notes, and that's my bad. But Houston was playing the defensive end, hand in the dirt, went inside, the outside run went right around him, and Aaron Glenn let him know, that's your edge. Added a couple words in there too. But it was very clearly like Houston was supposed to be not setting the hard edge, but at least not getting sucked inside as far as he did. And that's one of the reasons why predicting what happens with James Houston is going to be a very popular parlor game amongst Lions media and Lions fans this offseason. He's running with the twos primarily. I didn't see him with the first team, but that doesn't mean he wasn't there because they're not in pads yet. When they're not padded, I tend to focus on the periphery, on like the wide receivers, cornerbacks, defensive backs, some linebacker and running back deals, but like the line is like the last thing I'm looking at. Now, next week when the pads come on, and they will be on, my understanding is they come on Monday, and they will have 3 on, 1 off, 1 on next week, and I'll be here for all of it. That's when I'm going to be really looking at the lines. But Houston has his ups and downs. They worked him primarily at defensive end. He did get a little bit of Sam look, and there was another rep in Sam where he deflected a pass and looked very good in doing it. Like he anticipated where the pass was coming. So that's very good because as a rusher again, he was all or nothing. if he doesn't win with that first step around the outside like he beat Manu with, he's not effective. Dan Skipper, who I will parenthetically add, probably shouldn't ever be blocking other than as an extra blocker. He's just not. Look, I love Skip. I have loved Skip going back to his Arkansas days. If he's higher than 4th on your depth chart at tackle, you have a problem. And he had one today where Houston tried to kind of go into him and rip around him, and Skipper was just like, shoo bug. So you get the great with Houston, but you also get the like, wow, this is not good. And that's sort of been the story for him for the last couple of summers. And I will say, I was talking with another person in the Lions media today. We were talking specifically about Houston, and we were talking about the concept that he doesn't necessarily take the coaching the way most other players that have been brought in by this regime take coaching. And again, that's not a positive or a negative. It's just an observation that he might not be the mentality of player that I think the Lions thought they were getting. And that's something to watch because there's some talent there. There's no doubt about it. And it led me to wonder aloud if he's going to be a guy that maybe if he isn't going to win that starting job out there, and Marcus Davenport was out there today and looked pretty good. I saw Josh Paschal make a couple of plays as well. And Houston is making plays. It makes me wonder if he's going to be a trade candidate, if he's not going to be that high up. I don't know. Just thinking out loud there. Nothing from inside the team. That's just my observation on it. But he's clearly done some work. And man, his speed around the edge, nobody else on this roster can match that. And if that's what the Lions are looking for at that spot, he's going to play a lot. If they want more diversity, and that seems to be the crux of what he was talking to Justin about, that they're looking for him to play that defensive end. They're looking for him to play some sand. They're looking for him to play a little bit in space. Not sure that's going to be the best route to making the team for James Houston. Or I shouldn't say that. I think he's safely making the team. Think in terms of usage and getting on the field, it meshes more with what we saw last summer when he started out as the first team defensive end, and by the second preseason game was running with the threes. Oh, it's a weird situation. And I know there's a lot of people out there that take issue when anytime I talk about James Houston because I had written him off. I'm perfectly happy to be proven wrong. If he earns that starting role, if he earns the reps, that's great, man. Let's do it. I want whatever's best for the team, and he could be the best guy. But it just hasn't happened often enough. And it was like the play. It was interesting seeing that he did his pass rush and had the win. And he didn't really celebrate it all that much. He got some love from a couple of the other linemen. One of the linebackers came up, I believe it was Anzalone, who came up and, showed him, congratulations coming off the sideline there. But the first negative rep that I saw, which was the one where he got pinned inside, and it wasn't a particularly great block either, and it was Dan Skipper doing it. Instant coaching feedback on that one. And none of his teammates really came to his defense or comfort on that either. It could be nothing. I don't know. Like I said, it's something to watch as we go forward. But those are the big notes from today. Let's go over a couple of little ones. I got like 5 pages full here that we want to know. Jake Bates, another popular topic. Perfect on field goals today, 6 for 6. One of the interesting things there's 2 interesting things for me about Jake Bates today. Number one, he starts with his longest kicks first. That's weird. Not bad weird, not good weird. It's just different. Normally you start at like your 35-yard field goals and work your way back. He starts with the longest, which today was 53. He made them from both hashes and then worked his way in. That's different. He got all the kicks today, including the kickoffs. And I wrote about this at Lionswire, but I'll extrapolate upon it a little bit here. We were not privy to whether he was kicking off short on purpose or if that's just what he was doing. But a lot of his kicks only went to about the 10-yard line, and they were sort of sprayed all over left, right, center. Didn't boom. I don't think he boomed any into the end zone. Now, he clearly has the leg strength to do that, which leads me to conclude that they were wanting to test the returners and having him kick short on purpose. If that's the case, that's great, because that's where his kicks were. But we don't know that, and it's dangerous to speculate on these things. And I will hearken back to the summer of 2018 in Cleveland Browns training camp, where they were in a drill where Baker Mayfield was deliberately supposed to throw the ball out of bounds and misfire the targets. And many people in the Cleveland media did not know that and reported that he was missing everything and throwing the ball out of bounds. Well, that's because he was supposed to. Well, if you didn't catch that from the coaches at the beginning of the drill, you're not going to know that. So that's why I always have to say, I don't know what the coaching intention was, because I saw a couple of really very reputable reporters get burned on that. So I don't know if that was the intent of the drill or not, is the long and the short of it. But other thing, Badgley and Jack Fox did not kick off at all. So it leads me to believe that they were also trying to see what Bates had, what kind of clubs he has in his bag. Let's talk about Brodric Martin for a second. Got all of the first team nose tackle reps that I watched. Doesn't mean that he was the only one in there, but DJ Reader running on Mount Patricia today. By the way, he looks really close to being ready. I think it's more of a precautionary thing than anything beyond that he will be back. But Brodric got all the first team reps in the middle. Good for him. Came out. Again, I don't watch the line very much when they're not in pads, so I can't tell you if he had a lot of wins or losses on that. I just noticed that he was in the first team, which is good for him. Saw a lot of Jack Campbell in place of Derek Barnes running with Alex Anzalone on the first team defense. Now, there were some more than you have seen before where Derek Barnes was also on the field as a linebacker, and they were in a straight 4-man secondary. And the 4 were, Brian Branch did not participate in any of these drills today. So that is a variable that we have to account for. But the 4 were Terrion on one side, Carlton on the other, and the safeties were Iffy and Kirby. And they ran a lot of that look, especially when the Lions had 2 tight ends in. And they did that some today, as you might expect, with Sam Laporta and Brock Wright primarily being in the first team reps on that. So that's a look that you're going to probably see more of throughout the training camp and preseason. We'll see when they get to the preseason how much they do that, and how much the offensive packages dictate what they do versus the Lions. In the past, Aaron Glenn has generally tried to keep his own defense on his own and sort of dictate to the offense what they should be doing. They don't always comply. And I wonder how much Aaron Glenn has learned from that and will be more flexible in his substitution package. Again, that's just me thinking out loud. Don't know what's going on in AG set. I will say AG was very enthusiastic today. And normally he is a guy, when they're coaching, he makes sure he's on the opposite sideline from the media. Well, today he was on our sideline. We could have reached out and touched him several times. And I don't know if that's a conscious choice on his part or not, but it was interesting to me. That was kind of cool. The other coaching point that I want to talk about was the running backs. They worked out right in front of us. It was pretty cool to see their deal. And Scotty Montgomery, the running backs coach, yelling, burst, like nonstop. That was the focus of their drills. All of their drills, no matter how they started it, the finish was all about burst. Let me tell you, Jahmyr Gibbs, holy bleep, can he burst? It's unreal. It really is. I am not old enough to have covered Barry Sanders, but I can't imagine that Barry was that much more bursty than like the fluidity with which Gibbs can accelerate from out of a jump cut or a side step to full speed ahead. Holy crap, man. It's something to behold. It really is. I've covered a lot of really good running backs in my days, covering the Lions, Browns, Texans. I've never seen anything like it. And I do go back far enough that I did see Javid Best in his last training camp. And wow, it's fun to watch. Zonovan Knight, looking good. Hurst, check. He's got it. He does it with a longer stride, and that's kind of impressive. Now we will enter the portion where I say negative things about a player that probably shouldn't be construed beyond the drill. But Sione Vaki, your 4th-round rookie running back, doesn't have that burst yet. That it's not natural to him. The footwork in the drills that they were doing was clearly not natural to him. Now, keep in mind, this guy played safety at Utah primarily. So he hasn't done all these things throughout his life the way all these other running backs have. That's important context. But the burst there was noticeably behind everybody else's. And some of that is the fact that he doesn't always get his feet straight. To get great burst out of it, any kinesiologist can tell you this, and I'll throw my amateur kinesiologist hat on for a second. His hips, arms, feet, shoulders, they're not always square. He doesn't have that innate ability to square those up quickly yet, like Zonovan Knight did, like Jake Funk did. Craig Reynolds does a phenomenal job of doing that. I will give Craig a lot of credit for that. David Montgomery does that very well. He's not a bursty guy. That's not how he wins, but he does very well in that. Vaki is still learning that, and we saw that today. So keep in mind that that's one of the things that I'm filing away back in my mind. And I'll watch him at the end of next week in that same drill. Hopefully they run it again, and I'll see how much he's adapted, how much he's learned, how much he's changed, if at all. That's sort of what training camp is all about. I'm going to wrap this up. I've talked to you for over 25 minutes. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe because I'm going to be doing these just about every day. I will have another one up hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully Ash Thompson, our wonderful editor, can get these things going up quickly. And thanks for tuning into the Detroit Lions podcast Training Camp Summary Day 2. Jeff Risdon out.